And thus we see the return of me forgetting to take my headphones out. The return of Hondo. Now, I admit it's always good to see Hondo. And, well, as I talked about over in the Clone Wars, a lot of my fond memories of Hondo are from later in the series, when he started really developing as a character and actually having the charm and charisma to be interesting despite being kind of a horrible person. See, he's kind of like the inverse of Lando. He's terrible at manipulating people, barely perceptive, very obvious in his lies, and overall motivated towards himself. He's a selfish person. But the reason I say inverse rather than opposite is both move on the same axis, and that is charisma. Both actually still manage to be charismatic individuals, despite the other aspects of their character. And I mean, it's Jim Cummings, for God's sakes. So, I also noticed the Dark Disciple reference with Hondo. That was cute. It's funny to me because I've been trying to figure out what's going on with Ezra here. I think ultimately he's just going through a thing. I mean, we all go through those things multiple times in our life. Some people are like, oh, he's just a kid. No, we go through those things all throughout our life, where we sit there and think, what the heck am I doing? Why am I here? What am I doing at this point? And those fortunate of us have the ability to self-examine in some way, to take a step back or a step out of our lives and try to figure out, what are we doing with our lives and ourselves? Ezra got that chance here, and he saw what it was like to be a pirate who was neutrally aligned and a pirate who was selfishly aligned. And he didn't care for either of those. But it's also interesting to me because if you're paying attention, the biggest thing that's bothering Ezra at this point is the complexity of things. I'm going to get a little controversial, just a little here. One of the biggest things I tend to rail against everywhere, in fiction and in real life, is against line mentality, which is when I'm on this side of the line and everyone else who is on this side of the line is good, and everything on that side of the line is evil. It can be taken to really ludicrous extremes, too. This applies to so many different aspects of human existence that I don't even feel the need to go into specific examples. The biggest thing I don't like about line mentality is that it is, well, it's the opposite of thinking. It is, in fact, very simple. You don't have to think about it. Someone's over there, therefore bad. Someone's over here, therefore good. One piece of data. One line of complexity. That's it. It is the opposite of approaching life with responsibility and acknowledging just how multifaceted and convoluted life and people are. And that, I feel, is what Ezra's craving here. Well, he didn't have a good life back on Lothal. The fact is, it was a simple life. Imperials are bad, everyone else is good, steal to survive. And that was about it. Now he's got Jedi training, and he's trying to learn how to be better about using his focus and learning how to shoot a gun, and oh my god, and now they want me to actually clean out the ship, and just, I'm part of a rebellion which is trying to unify in the sector, and just all sorts of stuff, right? He just doesn't want to deal with all that. Or at least he doesn't think he does. Like I said, he got the opportunity to actually self-examine. And what he found was that he actually likes where he is now, better than where he was before. Or to put this in a much more truncated fashion, it may be more difficult and more effort to do the complex thing, but it tends to be more rewarding. So, I don't have much else to say about this episode, believe it or not. I love everything about Hondo in this episode. He's spot on. He references Clone Wars. He talks about, oh, Lando, you're much younger than I expected. He does his usual approach, you know. As Morrigan shows up, he's back. Woo. He nearly dies, but then he doesn't. I came this close to liking Chopper in this episode, for the first time in the whole show so far. When Chopper, pulls out both guns, it's like, blah, 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 after as Morrigan. The reason I didn't like him is because despite the fact that as Morrigan is large, slow, and not very agile, the droid managed to miss him with every shot. It's not that hard to shoot that target. Come on, droid. Anyways, whatever. I also wrote down a quote I just had to share with you guys. Oh, the stories I could tell, so many of them true. I also like how everything just kind of falls apart for both of the pirates in question, but doesn't actually go to the point of them really having negative consequences. So Vizargo, he gets his ship back, and his marker is, his solid is spent. He doesn't get his money, he doesn't get his generators. Hondo, he gets the money, but he doesn't get the generators. If both of them had been willing to agree to a compromise, a fair deal, as he had in fact said so early in the episode, he might have been more willing to actually get. He might have gotten away with more, and he didn't. And I think that's also there very much on purpose. The whole morality thing. Regardless, it was nice to see Hondo back, and I do know he's going to be back in the future, so I'm looking forward to that. For now, I'll see you next time, guys.